Do you want to know the secret to living a godly life? We're going to talk about that today from Proverbs chapter 15. Hey guys, and welcome back to God's Word Made Simple by Simple Servant Ministries. My name is Aaron Hawk, and if this is your first time visiting with us, I just want to say welcome and thank you for joining us today. God's Word Made Simple is an online discipleship ministry dedicated to taking God's Word and making it simple. We want to help you understand God's Word, apply it to your life, and grow in your relationship with the Lord. And by the way, if you appreciate this ministry and content, at some point make sure and hit that subscribe button, turn that bell notification to all so you don't miss any future videos. We would love to have you as part of our family. Okay guys, so we're going to get back into this. The previous sections in Proverbs, if you want to catch them, you can go back and look at the rest of chapter 15. I'll start it in verse 1 when I put the card up there. But as is often the case in the Proverbs, you don't necessarily need the verses before and after it to understand the ones that we're going to do today. So I would encourage you to check those out later, but you don't need that for where we're jumping in today. So we're going to start in verse 24 and go through the end of the chapter. And really the last verse in particular is what I was talking about in my intro to this video, but that's also the whole point of the whole book of Proverbs, is how to live a godly life. So let's start in verse 24. The path of life leads upward for the wise, in other words, up toward heaven, that he may keep away from Sheol below. And again, I don't have time in these videos to get into the doctrine of hell in the Old Testament, but just for now, for basic understanding, Sheol represents the bad place, evil, hell. I can't get into more today. I don't want to derail. Verse 25, the Lord will tear down the house of the proud. So whose house is he going to tear down? People who are prideful. Why? Because when we're prideful, one, we think less of others, but we also think that we are sufficient apart from God. The Lord will tear down the house of the proud, but he will establish the boundary of the widow. Now, why is the widow pointed out here? Because in this time, when this was written, the widow would have been the lowliest of the low. Because women, while they may have had jobs outside of the home, women were not generally able to work in the same way that a man was. And the person that she was counting on to provide for her was no longer around. And also, typically, someone that was a widow would have been much older and wouldn't have been capable of working in the same way that a young woman worked. So work was different for men and women in the time period that this was written. Women did work, though. Proverbs 31 shows us that, among many other places. So a lot of times people have a view of the Old Testament as if it was all chauvinistic stuff. That's not the case, but that's also not the video for today. All right. Verse 26, evil plans are an abomination to the Lord. Now, evil plans are even worse because evil by itself is bad. When you're just caught up in sin, that's bad. But when you are planning and plotting to sin, that's a lot worse because that shows another depth of depravity that you have sunk to. So, evil plans are an abomination to the Lord. And by the way, even in American justice, we have this concept, right? In fact, if you didn't know this, I'm going to make a lot of people very upset here, but Western civilization is founded largely on the principles of the Bible. So our court system is largely founded on scriptural principles, and this is an example of that, where in basic laws, even in the secular world, there is a difference between, for example, manslaughter and premeditated murder. Right? The reason for this is if you are planning and plotting it, that is a different kind of evil than two people got in an argument, one person got carried away and murdered the other one. It's still murder, don't get me wrong, but there are varying levels of how bad it is. So we see that here. Evil plans are an abomination to the Lord, but pleasant words are pure. Verse 27, he who profits illicitly troubles his own house, but he who hates bribes will live. And I've talked about this in other videos. This should be common sense, but you know what they say about common sense. It's not common. If you are doing things that are illegal as a way of either gaining wealth or as your main income or main source of income. So whether that's your side hustle or your main source of income. If you are doing things that are illegal or even just immoral, because not everything that is immoral is illegal, but if you are profiting in that way, it's only a matter of time before your house of cards comes crumbling down. And even if you get away with it in the sense of human law, God doesn't blink. He's not going to miss it, and he will punish you. So it's only a matter of time. He who profits illicitly troubles his own house. Your own family, your own house, everything that you have worked for, if you've done it illegally, it's all going to go away. But he who hates bribes will live. See, you can choose the theoretically easy way of doing things because, let's be honest, the stuff that's illegal often is easier to make money, and it's easier to make money by cutting corners and doing things that are evil. But it's all going to come crumbling down. Whereas if you stay on the straight and narrow, you don't have to worry about it. You will win the race in the long run. It's kind of like the old tortoise and the hare analogy, right? All right. Verse 28, the heart of the righteous ponders how to answer, but the mouth of the wicked pours out evil things. Now, this is really important, and this is yet another verse that had a profound impact in my life. The heart of the righteous ponders how to answer. See, Proverbs 18, I can't remember where I'll put I'll put it down here, the scriptural reference, but Proverbs 18, is it 13 or 14? I can't remember. I'll put it down there. But it says, he who speaks before he hears a matter, it is foolishness, right? It is foolishness to him. See, we have to have understanding, if we're wise, before we speak. Otherwise, we're just being a fool. Well, that's what it's talking about here. The heart of the righteous ponders how to answer. See, you receive information, you think it over, and you try to give an intelligent and godly response. Whereas the mouth of the wicked pours out evil things. See, people that talk a lot, and I talk a lot, but people that talk a lot, and especially people that pride themselves on just being open and transparent, which I do too, the temptation is to let the evil of your heart just come out without measure. See, the whole thing about no filter. When I was young, and I've shared this before, when I was younger, I had no filter. And I thought that that was the right way to be because at least I was being honest. But what I didn't understand is that I was using my words to hurt people and destroy people. And that wasn't my intention, but it was the reality of what I was doing. But the mouth of the wicked pours out evil things, whether that is unintentional, as the example that I gave in my own life, or people who are just flat out evil and vile, and they want to destroy everybody, and they are just evil and conniving, and every word out of their mouth is designed to destroy somebody. Either way, the mouth of the wicked pours out evil things. Verse 29, the Lord is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayer of the righteous. I don't know, that one really needs explanation. If you're choosing to do evil, God doesn't want anything to do with you in the sense of a relationship. But if you are seeking to be righteous, if you are trying to do the right thing, he will hear your prayer. Verse 30, bright eyes gladden the heart. Good news puts fat on the bones. See, when you meet somebody and you can tell that they're full of life because their eyes are bright, right? That's the sense of bright eyes that it means, right? In America, we even have the old bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, right? Does anybody use that phrase anymore? Let me know in the comments. I grew up hearing that one all the time. I don't know if anybody still uses that. But right, it's that person that you can tell is enjoying life and they're engaged. They're engaged with life and they enjoy it, right? That's probably the better way to say that. Bright eyes gladden the heart. You just love being around people like that. And good news, whatever the good news is, puts fat on the bones, right? And that's that idea of having reserve, having the ability to survive in lean times, but it's also that many cultures associate fatness with wealth. And yes, I need to lose weight. I'm not missing the irony here. But a lot of cultures associate fatness with wealth. Why? Because only wealthy people can afford enough food to be fat. All right, verse 31. He whose ear listens to the life-giving reproof will dwell among the wise. And we've talked about this extensively in previous videos. If you want to be wise, you need to be willing to accept reproof, assuming it's godly reproof, of course, but technically reproof means it's done in the right way. Otherwise, it's just that wicked person trying to destroy. Verse 32, he who neglects discipline despises himself, right? If I don't lose weight, there will be consequences to my health down the road. He who neglects discipline despises himself. If you do not do whatever it is that you're supposed to do, whether that is health related, whether that is doing your devotional time, spiritual things, whether that is family and friends and those relational things, he who neglects discipline despises himself. See, we always destroy ourselves quicker than other people could by lacking discipline. But he who listens to reproof acquires understanding. And then the golden nugget here, in my opinion, is verse 33. The fear of the Lord is the instruction for wisdom, and before honor comes humility. The fear of the Lord is the instruction for wisdom. I've talked about that a good bit. The fear of the Lord, this is fearing God in the sense of, like, if you had good parents and you didn't want to disappoint them. The fear of the Lord is the instruction for wisdom. See, that fear of God is what leads us to seek wisdom. We don't want to disappoint Him. We want to live in a way that honors and glorifies God, not a way that disappoints Him. The fear of the Lord is the instruction for wisdom. And before honor comes humility. See, you cannot have honor if you are prideful. Why? Because pride is one of the number one things that separates you from God. It is the pride of life, and thinking that we are self-sufficient, we are better than others, we know better than others, and we often even go so far as to think that we're better than God and we know better than Him, even if we can't bring ourselves to use those words. Before honor comes humility. You have to understand that A, you are not God. There is a God and you are not Him. And all people are to be treated equally. You are not better or worse. You answer directly between you and God. You answer directly to God, and everybody else answers directly to God for their actions and reactions. Our job is to help people grow in the Lord. And that's, of course, what I want to do with this ministry. So guys, that's it for today. If you do appreciate this video and ministry, make sure and hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn that bell notification to all so you don't miss any future videos. If you want to help this ministry, the number one way that you can do that is just to be our ambassador on social media. Anytime we upload a video, it would bless us and it would help the ministry and get God's word out if you would share that video on your social media platforms. If you do want to support us directly financially, of course, there is a link down in the description. All gifts are tax deductible. Guys, thank you very much, and God bless.